Hello, everybody. Welcome in. Thank you all for coming. Mr. Fibonacci. What a name. What a name. So today is a very important video, definitely the most important video I've done this year. And we're going to break down the do's and don'ts of this bull market because I already see people making mistakes out there, which is not good. So let's jump in. Again, we're going to break it all down. There's a very exciting time ahead of us, but we need to be positioned correctly. All right, so thank you as well to the mods in chat and everybody out there. And don't forget, a big thank you to Patreon that make all this possible. This is from Atul Fajama. Woohoo! First time in a live video and loving Patreon. Let's go. Thank you. And thank you to everybody on Patreon for being here. First of all, let's talk about this. And an inspiration for this video actually is from Raoul Pal. He says, don't mess up, with a different word for mess. But this is a PG channel because we have lots of parents that watch me with their kids. And it's awesome. And some people's kids, one guy has a 3-year-old daughter and I'm called the Bitcoin guy. So a 3-year-old little girl calls me the Bitcoin guy. What a cool name. But I'm not really. But anyway, let's talk about the macro view of crypto just to show how early we are. Because there are people getting nervous, people taking profits, people being too degen-y, etc. And this is all about the kind of 5 things you should do and the 5 things you shouldn't do. But first of all, we'll set the stage with the importance of understanding where we are from a macro point of view from crypto. And you can see here, everybody, very carefully, that we are in a situation where literally we're very early. Now, this is a very bullish number, assuming 400 million people own crypto assets. I don't think it's that high, but I gave it 5% for giggles. There's 8 billion in the world. And the crypto market value today is $2 trillion. And that means the exposure per person, assuming it's 5%, is about $5,000. And that is not very much. And the crypto share of total assets on the planet is 0.22%. So we are very, very early in this crypto revolution. It's a thing. The most exciting thing this year is Bitcoin was rubber stamped, blessed by the biggest money runners on earth. Okay, it's now the 11th asset class, which is huge. In addition, when it comes to positioning yourself, this is probably the most important thing. And let me actually just pop up something, getting a lot of grief online. Let me see if this works. Let me see, am I sharing this screen? These are just 3 names, and I could show a lot more names. But this is not by chance. It's not by chance that I'm in MicroStrategy or NVIDIA or CleanSpark or Nosana or Solana or any of these other names with very heavy portfolio concentrations. Part of it is because I knew back in 2022, AI would be big and crypto would be big. You just had to position yourself. And I always say get in early, get in hard. But let's talk about some of the key narratives for positioning that's very important to you all. Again, it's important to have a strong focus on what's going to be hot, on the narrative, as some people call it. Be on the forefront of AI and decentralized exchanges and layer ones and real world assets and payments, etc. That is going to be very strategic. Also, invest in sectors benefiting from the technological advancements and adoption. Follow the bodies, follow where the developers are going, follow where the money is going, follow where the users are going. I can't stress that enough. It's a very simple game when you do that. And also make sure they have a competitive advantage and innovation. Sometimes you need to pick assets that are literally on the bleeding edge of a space, pushing things to the limit. Sometimes they break. Yes, we've seen that with things like Solana, but that's what's important to get ahead. If you don't risk breaking stuff, you're not going fast enough. Ask any race car driver that. Now, I'm going to start with the don'ts first and then finish with the good stuff, the do's. But people still break all these rules. So this is kind of all the things that, guidelines, rules are there for a reason. Try not to break them. So that's first of all, I always said this for years and years, don't FOMO and don't chase, but replace. It's very important to have control of your emotions in the market and avoid impulsive decisions based on fear of missing out. Okay, literally imagine you see something. Okay, imagine you see a stock or a token at $90 and all of a sudden it starts to run $2 or $3 and you start, I better go chase it now, and then it goes to 94 and then you chase it again, you go to 95 and then you end up buying at 96 and then 2 hours later, it's back at 90 or 91. This is why you should just be patient. Wait. All right. There'll always be an opportunity to grab something, but don't chase because that can be quite costly. In addition, don't chase pumps. They are lethal. They are pumped for a reason. If you are chasing the pump, you're doing what the pumpers want you to do. So be careful. Also, don't buy a coin just because it's going up. The real money is made when you get into a position before it goes up. After it starts going up, you don't chase, you replace. And finally, research thoroughly before investing. That's kind of a do, which I'll talk more about at the end, but a quick reminder because I will stress that a lot too. In addition, and you've heard me say this a lot too as well, disruption is everything, but there's old tech versus new tech. And we have so many examples of how the old tech is really suffering right now. The most classic point I shared on the Real Vision video yesterday was this. This was the Stark net. It took users 6 hours to wait to get a transaction through, okay, to cash in their airdrop. 6 hours. This is a layer 2. This is latest technology, but it's based on old technology. And you can see here, the maximum transactions per second as of yesterday, etc., was like, half a transaction per second, 0.2 of a transaction per second. That's not going to cut it. There's a new world here, okay? So old tokens from 7 years ago, whatever, they're going to have challenges, but there's shiny new stuff in town, and it's quick and it's fast and there's better UIs, etc. In addition, I've shared this before, but I'll remind you again, the winner takes most in all industries. We'll also hit on that a couple of times today. Don't be in things thinking they're going to catch up with the winners because they will never do that. All right? They will never do that. Right now, 5 chains. 5 chains. I won't mention what the chains are, but they already control 80% of the crypto adoption right now. 5 chains from 30,000. 5 do nearly 80% of the users. Remember that very carefully. In addition, we're seeing old chains getting drained. The money is just flowing out of them. Again, I won't highlight what they are because you should know what they are. But it is very, very important to be part of the new stuff. Watch the money flow. Watch the developers. Watch the adoption. They are your answers, okay? In addition, you see stablecoins as well. Huge use case for crypto. But now, stablecoins are moving from the old world to the new world. If you go to NFTs, the world has changed 5 times in the last 2 or 3 years, from leading NFT marketplaces to the next leading marketplace to the next one. Again, it changes very fast. So you got to have those tap dancing shoes on as well. In addition, I've talked about the Solana black hole, all the stuff moving to the whole DePIN. That's a key narrative. People using a blockchain for infrastructure. You got Aave, Maker, Render, Circle, Visa, Paxos, PayPal, and now Filecoin, all moving. Oh, whoops. I forgot to share my slides. That's embarrassing. Wow. All right. Sorry, I forgot to share my slides. Let me go through these real quick. I don't know where I left off. These are the don'ts. Sorry about that, everybody. I should have been reading the comments. Doing 2 videos a day is hard. It burns me out. But let's do this in full. I'm just going to recap this super quick and then catch up with the good stuff. But these don'ts are very important too. In case you missed it, as I mentioned, these are the don'ts of the bull market. Critical that you follow. Don't FOMO, don't chase, replace. We covered that. Don't invest in old technology, invest in new technology. And you see that with the Starknet Layer 2 running at 1/3 of a transaction per second. And that's new old tech, which is crazy. And as I mentioned before, 80% of the users nearly are on 5 chains from 30,000 cryptos. Not good. And I said as well, old chains are getting drained fast, moving to new chains. Also for stablecoins, moving over to the new world. Also, you got the DePIN narrative happening as well. You got groups like Aave, Maker, Render, Circle, Visa, Paxos, PayPal, etc. moving to this new world in the DePIN way. All right. This is very important. Rule number 3 of don't listen to pumpers. Don't make decisions based on Make decisions based on solid research, not hype or social media buzz. And I always say that if something is pumped hard, it's probably a scam. There are armies paid to make comments on Twitter, to publish things on Twitter, to respond to things on Twitter, to do comments on YouTube, etc. I pay for a service to block them all. Okay, so my comments are clean. People say they come to my YouTube comments, say, what's going on here? It must all be bots because I don't see any bots. Therefore, it's bots. It's kind of weird. Anyway, that's the logic of humans today. But remember, don't listen to pumpers. Do your own research, okay? Or listen to very smart people. Listen to people who've made it. That's probably a good indicator. Not people who need to pump stuff on you to make it. Critical. In addition, don't be left holding the dead coin bag. Hey, Linda, thank you for coming. This is so critical. Over half of cryptos have died since 2014, and a lot more will die. Again, it is winner take most in every industry on the planet. Hope is not a strategy. If you're holding on to something from yester bull run, and it still hasn't moved, and you're waiting for it to go up 98%, or it's down 98% from all-time highs, and you're waiting for it to do that 20x or 50x back, it's not going to do it. It's dead, okay? And then when you have chains that are forks of other chains that are already dead, they're not going to make it either, okay? Be careful. Things that are pumped are bad 98, 99% of the time. And it's the same in traditional markets. These are what they called eTailers, e-commerce, etc. From yesteryear, many in America would recognize some of these brands. You know, Value City, Blockbuster, Borders, bookstores, CompUSA. And these were huge, huge, multi-billion-dollar stores. All gone. Gone. And fourth, do not ignore market cycles. Understand and respect the market cycles. Prepare for bull and bear markets. As I always say, billions are made in the bear. The bear market is not the time to ignore the market. That's the time to pack your bags. Okay? The bull market is the time for you to reduce your bags. I hope people are very clear on that. It is absolutely money. I call it sometimes running into a burning building, and you got to do that in the bear, and it pays off. Number 5, do not ignore security. I always say as well, it takes a lifetime to make it and a second to lose it. When you are in the crypto world, the Wild West, you are responsible for your wallet. You are your own bank. So really, everybody's coming for your bags. Store things securely. Brush up on your OPSEC, your operation security. Lock everything down. Have dedicated wallets. Spread it around. Dedicated machines. Firewalls, VPNs, all that stuff tied up. And even at that, I remember Rob was on DCA a couple of weeks ago. He said, everybody's going to get, hacked at some stage. And then 3 days after that, my Twitter was hacked with a YubiKey, no less. So again, be careful. Spread it around. Don't have all your eggs in one basket because it could be wiped. And this is not an investing tip. This is a life tip to protect yourself. All right, now on to the do's, kind of the more fun part as we go forward. And this is so important. As I started off in the beginning, research like hell. Like, it's no coincidence. I don't just stumble upon winners. I do an insane amount of work with the team, building models, building systems that pull in data and measure everything to identify winners early. It's absolutely key in investing. And I figured this out in the 90s, and it's still valid today. Okay. So do a lot of work, do a lot of research. Don't listen to the pumpers. Also, allocate to key narratives. For example, me in 2022, I said, okay, I'm all in on AI. Screw the rest. That's it. AI and crypto is going to be my story. Also, keep up with the latest news, especially about Bitcoin ETFs and regulations and all the stuff happening in crypto, the good, the bad, and the ugly. But remember, most of the news that you'll read in like traditional TradFi stuff is wrong anyway. But the best news you can get is on thought leaders on things like Twitter. There's also a lot of toxic trolls on Twitter too, so you got to watch those. But literally, the best source is probably really good, smart people that are objective on Twitter. not pumping their own bags. In addition, keep up with following the money, following the adoption, follow where the developers are going, and look for the assets with the best product market fit. This is so key. You hear people like Mert talking about that all the time. Make something that people want that fills a gap, and it does it best. Real simple. Also, follow the assets of the best leadership teams. You will see the best leaders are ones that point out the warts, point out the challenges, point out the weaknesses, say everything is not okay. No. We have a long way to go. They are the people you want to listen to. When you hear people, leaders of projects saying, oh, we are the best. We're going to have a great year. Everything is fine. We're going to take over. That is not the type of words you want to hear. And the people that say that type of stuff are sociopaths to suck you in and make you feel like everything's okay. You want leaders to point out the ugly and the bad and the problems and the weaknesses, because that means they are aware of them and they are fixing them, which is critical as well. And again, that's how you get into good projects early, and that can be life-changing. Number 2, very important as well. 98% of crypto is a scam, maybe 99%. So you got to be in the 2%. The first thing you should do when you look at your portfolio is make sure you are in the winningest of assets, the top 2%. And then you spread your assets across the 2%. Diversification is not spreading it across 30,000 poop coins. No. It's excising the top 2% and allocating across them across narratives. So you have a winner in every single sector. Very important. Next, this is the Crypto Compendium, just a highlight of how the top 500 cryptos rank. All right. If you're at the bottom, you're at a 0. I mean, you're just a complete poop coin. But that line there at about 6.25, 6.3 is critical. That's what I call the trash threshold. First of all, you got to be above that. And then second of all, you have to have good product market fit and adoption. And then after you go through all those steps, you'll discover that from the top 500 cryptos, there's a handful. Like I said to people, I'm going to do 12 days of Sol alts up to the Jupiter launch. I could only find 6. And I went through hundreds. 6! That's how hard it is. And that's how picky I am, because you got to check all the boxes to get approved. Thank you, Super Soul Man, for coming. So just remember that. Be in the top 2%. In addition, learn from the pros. Okay? Follow experienced investors who have made it for insights and advice. Okay? Have a plan. Stick to it. And avoid cult leaders. And understand the signs of sociopaths, because it's not very hard. You can go to your ChatGPT and say, what are the typical signs of a sociopath? And boom, it'll tell you. I don't need to point it out for you. Let me see. Lesson number 3. All right. Look beyond the hype. Make decisions based on solid research, not hype or social media buzz. Again, stressing this for the second time. Block out the toxic noise. Alpha is in the data. All right. I don't trust myself to make decisions, but I trust myself to build models and interpret the data that gets kicked out of those models. Okay? That is critical. Think about that. Number 4, again, as I mentioned before, respect the market cycle. We're in a bull run. Billions are made in the bears. And again, some of these things you got to read both ways, because you got to be ready. But there are things happening right now that are very special in 2024. Let me talk about some of the catalysts for a second. We got the Bitcoin halving coming up, which will be huge. Bitcoin just hit 42K. I think a few minutes ago. Let me just check on Bitcoin. Fell down again, 51.7, but it did hit 42K literally a few minutes ago. Then we have money printing is going to happen. ETFs are here, which is huge, and they are sucking everything out of the system. Rate cuts are coming, and crypto adoption is on the rise. Big time. More users, more transactions, more market cap. We're 2 trillion market cap now. We're going to 5 probably. 5. So even if you're throwing a dart, okay, you throw $100 of crypto, it'll probably go up 2.5 times, say, approximately. All right. In addition, and I've shared this before, just the ETFs alone, this is a very good bull market indicator. There's people trying to get clever and time swapping between Bitcoin and other assets, etc. And I much prefer setting traps and waiting for them to pounce, waiting to get them to blow off, get extremely overbought, and then think about allocating. But when you try to get really cute and swap in between stuff, it can be difficult. So this is the crazy bullish stuff of Bitcoin that I've shared this before. But even if the ETF allocation falls down to 25% of what it's been over the last 28 days, and the multiplier, which is current today at 59, it used to be 21, now it's 59. That should technically go to 120 after the halving. I'm assuming it's stable at 59. That could theoretically take the price of Bitcoin to $173,900. It sounds absurd. That's more than a 3x from here, but that's possible. Okay? And that is the safest bet in town right now. Also, this is the other problem too. People have these crazy expectations. Like I've had people saying, hey, I've got $10,000. I want to turn it into $1 million in 3 months. That is not, it's possible, but you got to be very lucky. You got to be very lucky. And you get maybe one of those every 3 years or so that it happens. But you got to be very lucky. And you got to be extremely leveraged to make it happen. But aim for realistic goals, okay? Be happy with it. Only chase the 10x's with a small percentage, and allocations matter. So this chart, the little picture here in this chart, it's not what you make, it's what you keep. So I want you to take this image in the back of your head. You make money on the left, you park it on the right. That's what I did with trading. Made money in trading, put it into real estate. Made money in trading, put it into real estate. That was my bank, okay? So it's very important that you understand that as well. Take profits. Be realistic. Don't throw everything on 36 black or whatever the number is in the casino. And remember the risk curve too. So the further you go out the risk curve, maybe you get higher returns, but you could also lose everything at the same time. That's why, for example, in my Solana portfolio, I literally started out with 5% of my Solana position only. Because I knew if it blows up and goes nowhere, it's nothing. Now that 5% has turned into 15% very quickly. We're talking in 2 months. It's insane. But that's what happens. That 15% that is now could go to zero. But about 95% of Solana is intact. And that's only a piece of my whole pie. And those in Patreon know exactly what the pie looks like. I share it every single week. And I do everything openly and transparently and objectively. And that is the key here. So you can go out the risk curve, but you could lose it all. Then you can make a lot more money, but you have to allocate very carefully, everybody. And 5, most important thing, and I've said this from day one too, patience. Patience is key. Understand the narratives. Understand where the industry is going. Do a lot of research to extract the winners. When you find the winners early, you lay your traps and you wait. A lot of people, classic example, they're in, say, a Bitcoin miner or token X, and they buy it at $2 and it stays flat for 4 months and they get really upset. Then they rotate into something else. And then that $2 becomes $16, $17, $18 in a very short window of time because they weren't patient. They did all the work. They got into the right position, but then they saw a shiny object in the other room and went to chase that. You lay your traps, get into your positions, and wait. When they get frothy, then you roll out, but not until then. Otherwise, you will miss. And avoid rash decisions as well during market fluctuations. Crypto is extremely volatile. It can break your soul. But again, if you have that plan that I mentioned at the very beginning, have that plan. Have your positions, have your narratives, lay your traps, and you're good to go. And the final part, most important thing, is you never go broke taking profits. Don't be afraid to take profits. Little learning from me. I sold 80% of my NVIDIA position, okay, at 500. Am I pissed off? No. You know why? Because I rotated that money into CleanSpark, okay? That's how you do it. Thank goodness, I think CleanSpark outperformed NVIDIA. So I sold in the 500s, I think it was. Can't remember exactly. But I still have 20%. So I'm on the train, not as much as before, but I rotated when I thought it was getting toppy, but I kept a part of my toe in the pool. All right. But when it comes to profit taking, remember this as well. We spent a lot of time in the bear building models, building discipline, building structure, building processes that we've tested 100 different ways. And we now have a layer out model with discipline and a spreadsheet that goes with it. You plug in your price targets And it's amazing when you see what you can do. You can keep skin in the game, but you layer out. And when you compare layering out to staying in to the very top, there's very little difference in price, especially if you can rotate into assets that are about to perform too. So remember, take your profits, lock them away, buy that dream house, buy that rental property, invest in treasury bills. I don't care. But remember, when you start making good money, first thing you do is take your initial investment off the table. Let your winners ride if you think they're still going to ride. But then for the rest of the stuff, take profits. So hope you like the show, everybody. A very deep, spiritual one. But there is a lifetime of lessons and learning here that I want you all to know. So if you learn something new, hit that like on the way out, because these are your stepping stones to being very successful in the markets. Okay? Thank you, everybody, for coming. Thank you, Jimmy, and mods in the chat and everybody else. I'll see you all tomorrow. Bye-bye.